It's another Thursday, or as we call it, Little Friday here at Crain and Company. Let's have a good one today.
Let's have a day.
Can we have a good one today?
Noises. Let's have a day.
We're getting loud. To my left, former Michigan quarterback David Cone. To my right, former Western State Colorado wide receiver Blaine Crain. And it's a great day to have a great day as we bring on our friend Josh Pate to dive into college football.
Boo.
Alabama AD Greg Byrne has a crazy idea about field storming, and we're going to give you our SEC football win totals part 2. All right, Blaine, tell the people about the chat.
All right, what's up, losers? Hit that like, hit that subscribe button. If you donate, it's on topic. It will get read. If you donate at all, it will get read at the end of the show. Multiple polls today where you get to decide the winner. Must be lucky for you. Cone, what's popping over there, brother?
Boys, here's the game plan. 1-855-236-3228. That's a phone number. That's the number you're going to call today. And when you call it, you're going to get on the line with us. And you got 60 seconds to give us your hottest take. I want a lot of energy. I want a lot of excitement. All right, let's get those feet chopping.
All right. Bring your
Time out in the game. I mean, it's already going in the chat. I mean, is today Flaming Dragon Thursday? We got to figure this out.
No, there is no. You don't get 2 days. You get one day, and it's no. We'll talk about it.
We do need to figure that out. But you just blew a timeout early in the game.
You did. That's
useful
a really
timeout.
Yeah, that's a really early timeout. You have 2 left. Good luck. Bring your lunch pail because it's time for some Crain and Company on a Thursday. I'm pretty sure Alabama Athletic Director Greg Byrne is a pretty smart guy. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. But what he told ESPN yesterday pertaining to field or court storming was one of the most perplexing things I've really ever heard. He said, and I quote, "Now, if we said that the home team, if they storm the field or the court, they're going to lose the game right then and there, that will stop it." Well, in theory, maybe that is somewhat viable, but in practice, that would be an absolute disaster. Because what's stopping the opposing team's fans dressing up in the home team's gear and storming the field after they lose to overturn the outcome? Now, before you say, Jake, nobody's that crazy. Nobody will ever do that. Harvey Updike tried to poison the city of Auburn's water supply. People would most definitely do it. And then there's the betting angle. We could literally fix games by doing what I just said. It would never work in a million years. So why would he say it? Well, that one's easy. You see, Alabama's the top dog in college football and basketball right now. They don't ever storm the field because rarely do they upset someone at home. And on the few occasions they do, I believe most Bama fans feel it's beneath them. So it's an extreme solution to a problem that Greg Byrne doesn't have. So it would really only benefit him and Alabama. In fact, Alabama allegedly stormed the field for the last time in 1956 after a thrilling 13-12 win over Mississippi State. So, Mr. Byrne, we appreciate your input, and you seem like a pretty stand-up guy, but my brother in Christ, this ain't it. David Cone, I can't believe he said that. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm all for ideas. I'm a positivity guy. I thrive on ideas. And you can see the tweet here talking about what he said on ESPN. That would never work. That is an absolutely horrific idea.
Let me get this straight. The athletic director at Alabama says if you storm the field or court, it should result in forfeiture.
Yes.
This is like the king telling the peasants, you can't go out and hunt your own food anymore or something. I don't want to hear from you on this issue. What does Greg Byrne know what it's like to be Tennessee and lose to Nick Saban 16 straight times? Brother, the goalposts are going in the water tonight. Yeah. What does he know what it feels like to be Vanderbilt and you bring Diego Pavia in. You finally beat Alabama at home. He doesn't know. The best point you made is he's coming up with solutions to things that aren't a problem. We don't have a problem here. It seems to me like college football won't be happy until it's the NFL, completely lacking, devoid of passion. And the NFL won't be happy until they're the NBA somehow. Yeah. And the NBA is never going to be happy until Michael Jordan comes back.
No, that's true. Blaine, I'm sitting here wondering the backlash of what would happen if for some reason this rule got put in.
There's no way.
And somebody stormed a court or a field and then they're like, oh, well, you lose. Like, I don't know what would happen. If it's me, I'm Jackie Mooning it. Next game, we're off the court. Like, no, we're not even showing up. Like, I just wonder how bad that would actually be if that got implemented.
Well, like, it's crazy to me because if Bama stormed something, this would be the other way. It'd be the other way. It just kind of feels like a thing that is this Alabama slowly losing grip? Slowly losing grip of the domination of football.
Is it like a power move to see how much?
Well, first of all, how entitled does this guy think he? Who do you think? You're telling me after a team that beats Bama, whether it's football, basketball, you're going to forfeit the game because some drunk 19-year-olds ran out on the quarter of the field?
Well, and I will say this. I think we could do it better. I think the players should be off the field until the court or field is stormed. I'm fine. I actually don't mind the fines, to be honest with you. I think that's really the only way you can go about it. But, like, getting the players off the field, because remember what happened with Jermaine Burton and I think it was the Tennessee fan or whatever, it is kind of dangerous for the players. I mean, there's been times where it's gotten really thick in there, and when you have this many people going at once. But, like, here's the thing, David. Even if you wanted to say, hey, let's make sure we get the players off the field, how are you stopping that?
Yeah.
What is going to stop that?
Well, if you're a fan and you're just doing it so that you can go get up close proximity to the other team's players so that you can laugh at them or mock them, whatever happens to you, you deserve.
I do agree with that.
That's part, but most of the fans who are rushing the court or rushing the field aren't doing it for that. Do you see that right there? They didn't all get together and talk about this. Right? This is a thing that only happens when you experience something that's seismic. Now, the discussion on when can you or when can you not storm the field, we can have that. Like if it's just some mid-victory that you've had. But there are times when you already know in advance. Like if we were somehow to win this game, no one needs to talk about it. You just go do it. And what's a greater compliment to Greg Byrne and Alabama that anytime someone beats you, the field gets stormed. But your program is such a high pedigree that you never do it. That's a high-class problem, if you even want to call it a problem.
And it's not like they're storming your field. They're not messing up your stuff. They're storming their field.
See, that's a great point. It's not like they're tearing your goalposts down.
Yeah, your goalposts are fine.
It's not like you're on the hook for $250,000 or something.
And this is one of the reasons what makes college sports great.
Thank you.
What makes it, you don't see this in the NFL. You don't see this in Major League Sports. You only really see it in college. And, Jake, I go back to what you said. What would stop me this Saturday from getting 20, not even 20 of my friends, paying 20 people, probably not a lot of money, I mean $50 each, to go to Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
All right. And if Alabama wins that game, we're storming the court.
No. And to your point, they would do it. I mentioned Harvey Updike. People do crazy things. But again, my thing is more on the betting angle. Why would I not start a Facebook group full of a bunch of people and say, listen, I'm going to put $1 million on this game. All right, the number one Alabama.
Do it this Saturday. Alabama
do it this Saturday to change the outcome of the game. I'm going to bet on the other team. It's going to get overturned and we're going to win money. That's what I'd do. Hell, I'd start a storming the court group on Facebook. Get 50,000 people in there. Hey, listen, we're going to split up this money. We're going to do it every weekend. Quit your job. You don't got to do plumbing anymore. You don't have to be a librarian. You don't have to work at 7-Eleven or even be a senator. We're just going to storm the field in the court and make all this money.
Why do you always, some rich people just have to ruin things?
They do, man. They do. But that's not the worst thing. That's not the worst thing that happened that's kind of tied to ESPN. Not that Greg Byrne is part of ESPN. He said it on ESPN. A guy I got a lot of respect for, one of my favorite baseball commentators, Carl Ravitch, all right, was doing a basketball game, and he said this. Let's go ahead and bring up the clip of Carl Ravitch trying to kind of downplay the SEC's success in basketball by using math. It just wasn't very subtle. Let's go ahead and play the clip from the basketball game.
So think about it. We know how dominant they were in the non-conference season, the SEC. They were 185-23. Since January 4 into Tuesday, the SEC teams are 82-82. It's not as if one team or two teams or three. They're 82-82. There's been no ability to pull away. There's no dominant.
They can't pull away, guys. He's exactly right.
And so it gets worse. And, in today's society, when you screw up, you might as well take the L. Okay?
Yeah.
This is the first tweet from Carl Ravitch when he landed.
Let's go and say, I think Carl does a good job.
I think he does a good job. I think he's a good guy. He said, just landed and CX is on fire. Simple explanation. Tongue-in-cheek, 82-82 record was to illustrate any night either team can win and one will. Wow, that's a bold statement there. Not that that happens in every game. Clearly very poor execution on my part. It's amazing that Alabama and Auburn have only lost once in such a great conference. That's all. Okay, this is what happens when you don't take the L. I heard you say that. It was not tongue-in-cheek. You really thought you found gold, and you used it to illustrate a point that there's not a dominant team in the SEC, and then you say in your tweet that it was to illustrate how dominant Auburn and Alabama was.
How about 4 hours later?
Yeah, so then 4 hours later, apparently our friend Carl had enough. He said, 4 hours after landing and reading all the responses, it's overwhelming. I will heed the advice of my ex-friends and take the L.
My ex-friends.
My ex-friends, take the L. My bad, my mistake. Always appreciate the feedback and grateful for the audience. A bunch of huge games left. Let's enjoy it.
You know what someone said under there? They said, with the 2 posts that Carl Ravitch put out, he was 1-1.
Yeah, and just if you're out there and you're confused why we're making fun of this, it's because it's impossible for the conferences not to be 500. Because every game now is a conference game. It is a mathematical impossibility for it to be anything other than 82 and 80.
I don't know, man. I heard the ACC was 82 and 82 against.
Well, I think we have the Duke is 82 and 1.
Do we have the Mark Pope video
of what?
Wait, did Mark Pope call him out?
Yeah. Let's play this.
Coach, everybody talks about the SEC being the best conference in college basketball, but the conference is just 500 since conference play started. What do you make of that?
I think it's been a really disappointing start to conference play. I feel like we should, I feel like we're not living up to the expectations, just being at 500 as a conference. And I just, I'm kind of looking around at the other programs in the league, but like, guys, we got to pick this up. This is embarrassing.
No, that's
so we'll find a way. I believe in this league. I think we definitely have an upside, and we're going to work really hard to get there.
Good for him.
Look, Mark Pope is so much more likable, I think, than Coach Cal. So much more likable than Coach Cal. All right, let's get to the chat here.
All right, chat, hit that like, hit that subscribe button if you donate. It's on topic. It will get read. We're going to start a donation off with a $5 donation from Rocky Top Tom. If you needed more proof that sports have been ruined by rich suckers who never played it down in their lives, this is it.
Yeah, it's just like going back to the Greg Byrne thing. I mean, look, come to the table with ideas. But I got to book. What does he say on the campaign? Like, I got a book of good ideas. Mm-hmm. Like, this is just. That's just an awful idea. Like, that would never work. I mean, why don't you just say even crazier stuff?
To your point, if fans were storming the field of their opponent and tearing things down, and that was the thing, right? Oh, we've earned this right because we had a big win, so we can mess your stuff up and you're on the hook for $100,000. That's a problem we need a solution for. If every time it happened, players are getting in altercations and fans are getting physically injured or something, that's a problem that needs a solution. I don't see a problem here.
No, I don't either.
Let's go to a $1.99 donation from the Rod. He's like, something about Mark Pope I dislike a lot better than that used car salesman, even if we lost to him at home.
Well, and that's true. I mean, Coach Cal's done a lot of good. I mean, he's obviously had success and did some good things at Kentucky, but the likability factor, Mark Pope just, you know why I think it is? Mark Pope doesn't seem like he's full of it. Like, I think that's like who Mark Pope really is. Not that, and I've heard stories about Cal being a great guy and this, that, or the other, but Cal just like, I don't know, he comes off as kind of a sleaze. I mean, he does. That's just the way, I mean, it's a great point. The used car salesman, I think Mark Pope just seems kind of more like genuine, I guess.
Let's go to a $2 donation from Stu. Appreciate it, Stu. I don't know how Greg Byrne's got his job. I swear the more he talks, the dumber he sounds. I guess Saban just covered it up for all these years.
David, and I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt of like, obviously being a smart guy, it takes, some ability, obviously, to get to that level. But, we were talking before the show, and you made a point. This isn't the first kind of thing he's been off on him. You go back to the Brandon Miller situation, and just
was tough.
This
topic, this is multiple times on this topic now, too.
Yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like as much of a tight ship as it used to be.
$10 donation from the Gale. Appreciate it. Says, Burns is one of the dumbest guys I know. Don't listen to him. I'm telling you, Alabama's going to be fine. I'm not worried about it. No one's going to storm the field against us anymore because we're trash.
Well,
that's an Alabama fan.
Yeah, and that's an Alabama fan. I get it. It's like, when the one person in your group just kind of makes you look bad, and you're like, God, don't do that. Like, we had a guy in college that I played with that we'd be walking around downtown, and he'd whistle at girls and stuff, and just catcall and do. We're like, bro, what? Stop! Dude, you're making all of us look bad when you do stupid things like that.
Why were you doing that, man?
Yeah, Blaine, why did you do that in college?
Why were you doing that with the group?
No, that's not even the worst thing you did. I don't want to get into it.
All right, the poll was, should field storming be banned? Yes or no? What do y'all think?
Come on,
Did they say yes? Did they say yes? 50%?
No. I need over 85% on that.
No, 89.
Come on, baby. That's what I'm talking about.
I like that. Good for the people. That's a win for the people.
People win.
We're going to get Josh Pate on here in a minute, but another win for the people is having amazing coffee. Because I know you guys drink a lot of it out there, and for you younger ones, you're going to drink it when you get older if you don't do it now, so you might as well drink the best. And that's where Black Rifle Coffee comes in. Because not only do they have a versatility and variety and huge selection of dark roast, light roast, and everything in between, they even have a coffee quiz on their website, David. Now look, I never was great on quizzes, hated tests, midterms, kill me. But if it's a coffee quiz,
I'll get 100 on that.
Yeah, I'll get 100 on that every time because it pairs you with a blend perfectly tailored to your specific taste. And a portion of every purchase you make with Black Rifle Coffee goes towards supporting veteran and first responder causes, which means your money goes a long way toward giving back to those who serve our nation. And again, they've got some great blends and the names are pretty cool too. So head to blackriflecoffee.com now. Use code DailyWire, that's all one word, for 20% off America's coffee. That's blackriflecoffee.com. Use code DailyWire and go take that coffee quiz if you're a little bit unsure on where you land. They say it's the wine of morning drinks. BlackRifleCoffee.com. Use code DailyWire.
The wine of
All right,
morning
we're going to get Josh Pate on here in 1 second. But first, let's go ahead and move back to the chat.
All right, let's go to the GOAT, Bob. Appreciate it. Who do you think is going to have a better career at Kentucky, Coach Cal or Mark Pope?
What do you think?
Okay, so how would we judge that? Do we just judge that on national championships? Cal got one. And then he led a team undefeated, all the way to the Final Four? Lost to Wisconsin, I think?
I think if you're Kentucky, because when I hear about Coach Cal, he did win the one national championship with Anthony Davis. But national championship or bust, I get it. It's still Big Blue Nation. But when you hear the argument with Coach Cal, they also bring up the Final Fours as well. So I think getting to the Final Fours should be used as a judgment that it's like, all right, obviously this is a success, and Kentucky fans would be happy with it. You sprinkle in a national championship here or there. And look, he's going about it a different way. He brings in kind of older guys, and it's not this one-and-done situation that Coach Cal would bring in all these 5 stars, and then they'd figure it out halfway through the year, but then go into the tournament and play St. Peter's or, St. Province or, St. Adam or wherever and lose. He's going about it in a little bit.
I think there are a few things that'll make it a little bit tough to compare the different eras. One being NIL now,
even
not being able to stack, recruits, transfer portal as well. But then also the league is a lot tougher. I mean, there was a time where Kentucky was the only show in town in the SEC, and now it's stacked rosters everywhere.
Yeah, it's a good point. All right, one more.
Let's go to a $5 donation from Get Nicked. Appreciate it, man. He said, did Nick Saban leaving Alabama break Alabama?
I don't think it broke Alabama. I think it, you're going to need an oil change. It's not what it was. The machine's not there. But speaking of machines, this next guy we're bringing
There's one, a unit.
College football machine. Some even don't believe he's a human being. And I'm just throwing that out there. Our buddy Josh Pate Show. Josh, what's up, dude?
The way I know that's not scripted is I swerved you guys with the time I'm coming on the show. So there's no way that was prompted. There's no way you have that written on ad copy in your hand. So in the spirit of Valentine's Day, one Jacob Crain had that come right from here.
Yeah,
from the prompter God gave us.
I'm the Ryan Stiles of college football shows. That's what I am. I'm just out of here. Whose line is it anyway? But Josh, you're down there at the Broyles Award, which I'm a voter as well. You look at some of the guys who have won the award in the past. It absolutely skyrockets your career. I'm not going to ask who you voted for. I'm going to say who I voted for after they announced the winner. It's an incredible event. Shout out to our buddy Clayton Harrell. But are there a couple guys that you're looking at that you think are probably the favorites to win this thing down there? Is there a couple that just kind of come to the top of your mind?
I think you got to expect there's a lot of juice with Marcus Arroyo at Arizona State. I mean, they made the run that no one expected them to make this year. Now, I think in years to come, we may come to find that there's an assistant coach that the Big 12 shoots out at us every year because the Big 12 is so randomized that we may just see this duplicated over and over again. But this is sort of at the dawn of the new playoff era, so we don't know what normal is yet. So I'd say Arroyo. I think also when you look at what Tim Banks did at Tennessee, and you look at the fact that at various points this year, they were more identifiable with their defensive style and performance than they were offense. There were multiple times, as you guys know this year, where they were shut out in first halves and still won games. They were a playoff team. People kind of wipe that from their memory because of the way the playoff game went. But I would say Arroyo, Banks. I mean, Pete Kwiatkowski had a great year at Texas, but I still think it's people thinking about offense there. So I would go Arroyo and Banks as the two that I would say. There's actually a horse racing track out my window coming around the final turn. I would say those are the two I like.
Yeah, and, it's a great combination. Marcus is a great combination of, like, the underdog that everybody loves that came out of nowhere, plus being an offensive guy. You blend those two things together, that's going to be tough to beat, and they're going to be live streaming it, so make sure you check out to see who wins that. But, Josh, I want to ask you about a topic that, speaking of a horse, you're going to beat it to death. We're going to beat it to death here. Not that I condone beating horses to death. My wife would kill me. Not anymore.
You and our producer.
Listen, I got to stop watching Yellowstone. But Josh, when you look at Arch Manning in Texas, I said something the other day, and it's going to be possible for him to live up to the hype. I don't think Arch Manning in Texas wins the SEC while he is at Texas. That doesn't mean they can't win a national championship. That doesn't mean they can't, get into the playoff and make a run. Do you think Arch Manning can possibly live up to the hype or get close to the hype? Because he's the most hype guy going into the next level since LeBron James to me.
No, probably not. But that doesn't mean he can't be a really solid player. A lot of the hype, as you guys know, is just written in fantasy land.
For sure.
It's almost like college fantasy football is not a massive thing like it is in the NFL, but it's almost like the hype bubble is fantasy driven. It's independent of your contribution to a team's winning a championship. It's like, who cares if you go 9-3, but are you going to put up big numbers? It's kind of the ring culture society, which ironically leads you further and further away from a ring. No, I don't think he'll meet the hype. Now, if we were to we just like to cut the fringes off, the haters are gone, the hype people are gone, and hopefully all of us are still in the room of the reasonably minded. Again, this is a pro horse show, so hopefully along with the pro horse or pro logic, I would say if you expect the offensive efficiency numbers to uptick a little bit with him there, that's reasonable. And I think they can do that. I also think if you look at Arch, you can't look at that in the absence of them having to backfill their top three receivers again. You got a number of offensive linemen gone. Like there's more. It's more than just the Manning kid, man. Let's watch spring ball. He's taken over. It's his time now. It's not tennis. It's not golf. It's not an individual thing. So I think he can be a really good player there. I don't go into it with the expectation that, this Heisman odds board that I'm looking at right now that has him number 2 is accurate.
Insane.
I don't have that as my expectation. So I don't think I'm setting myself up for disappointment quite as much as maybe the rest of the country does. And you know what? If he meets their expectation, I'll just happily be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, to quote Carl Ravage, I'll take the L. And to be honest with you, I think he could be better than Quinn Ewers and still not live up to that hype.
True. Yeah. Josh Pate, welcome into the fact or fiction zone. I've got 4 statements. You've got 30 seconds on each one to tell me why it's a fact or why it's fiction. First one up here. Storming the field should result in game forfeiture is a statement that should in and of itself disqualify you from working in college athletics. Fact or fiction?
I can't be firing Greg Byrne. I can't be firing athletic directors in the SEC. I can't do that. But I don't like the statement. It is going to get harsh rebuttal from my office if I'm ever the commissioner. I'll say that much.
Next one up here, speaking about Alabama. Alabama bringing in Ryan Grubb as offensive coordinator will not lead to a college football playoff berth for the Tide in 2025. Fact or fiction?
Fiction. I have them as a fringe contender in 2025. I think it's a net. Oh man, this is tough, Cone, because that just as much as we talked about Arch Manning not existing in isolation, I have no clue who their quarterback is either. Yeah. This is hard to do in 30 seconds. That's what she said, maybe, but it's hard to do in 30 seconds.
That is what she said, but you're doing a great job.
I'm going fringe fiction. Has anyone ever done fringe fiction?
No.
Look, I did a soft. We do a punt or ghost segment, and I faked a punt the other day. So
God, I got guys that are faking punts and fringe.
Do whatever you want.
At least you made it to 30 seconds.
Yeah, that's true. 31. How about that?
Next one up here. This one's near and dear to my heart, Josh. Don't get it wrong. The Michigan-Ohio rivalry is just too toxic for college football. Fact or fiction?
Fiction. 1,000 times fiction. We're on the 8th floor of this casino and hotel and resort. I'd love to throw anyone who said it out the window.
Yes.
I would argue toxicity is a misplaced phrase. Toxicity is me beating you to death in the parking lot because you're wearing a Michigan jersey. Toxicity is not me as an Ohio State fan hoping that you have a miserable December because your team lost. That's healthy. And I also say for these people out here who don't have sports, those are the ones most at risk because they don't have any mechanism through which to release that toxicity that's built up. And those are the ones who go do things that end up on the nightly news. No, it is not toxic fiction.
Well, that's how I think World War II started, to be honest with you, if we're going to get deep into it. But this is like the toxic masculinity argument in society, but in the college football realm.
Built up release in 30 seconds, man. Sometimes I could.
We're on fire.
I could just kiss you on that head.
By the way, this is brought to you by Romans.
Last one up here, and this is straight from X. This is what all the Josh Pate fans really wanted to know. Josh Pate's 1-rep max bench press is over 300 pounds. Fact or fiction?
I would probably give you 5 reps at 300 pounds. Who are you even talking to, Colin?
Wow.
What is the matter with you?
Wow. Hit me with the number then. 1-rep max bench. Josh Pate, what are we hitting these days, brother? I'd be confident in the 330 to 350 range.
That's nice.
But I have not maxed in a long time. But let me say this.
That's nice,
Who in the world even tries to bench 300? It's an odd number of plates to even put on the bar. No one does 300.
Yeah.
What happened in the Michigan weight room? That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Hey, how did we get to that number?
Me benching 300 is not something that happened in the Michigan weight room. I was squatting 300, though. Come at me.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Hey, 300 is a lot for a 6'7".
When someone says the word squat, I just get a little...
If you say squat or gassers, I immediately want to... It's like EPCAC. I immediately want to puke.
350.
All right, Josh.
I need to see it to believe it. But
all right, the next one we got going here is called If You Were the Commiss. Trust me, every second tweet I see from you, it's you wanting to be the commissioner of college football. Pretty sure that's what Jake said. That's how Stalin...
Well, yeah, no, listen, I respect it. That sometimes you got to take power. That's why I respect it.
All right, this is your chance, Josh. Show the world what it would be like with you as the college football commissioner. We're going to start with this. The 12-team playoff debuting this season, how long before it expands again? Would you advocate for 16 teams, or is there a risk of devaluing the regular season?
Look, I'd love to go to 8 teams, but if you don't let me go backwards, I don't. If we expand to 14, I think I have been sold on. Now, mind you, Blaine, this is if we have to expand, if we have to stay in the current format. I've actually been sold on the idea of predetermining the number of seats at the table per conference, which I hated a year ago. I hated it because I think it's stupid, but I already think the format's stupid. So if you're going to take me further into those waters, what I want to do is I want to maximize the focus on the conference races. So like if I know the Big Ten's got 4 and the SEC's got 4 and the ACC's got 3 and their conference races are going to determine who gets those seeds, I'd actually in the aggregate be more happy with that. So that's unpopular, I know, because I even hate it. But as it relates to now and moving forward, I think it'd be best for all parties if we totally trashed the format and overhauled conceptually the format as we expanded.
Yeah, I 100%. The structure's got to change. We've talked about that a million times.
All right, Commissioner Pate, your second one is the SEC and Big Ten's financial dominance ruining competitive balance. And what would you do as commissioner to prevent a full Power 2 takeover?
I would, well, yes, the answer is yes, it has. Are we entering a world where legally the commissioner just gets to do whatever he wants to? Like, can I dictate or do
give
I
it a
have
try?
To operate
Give it a try. Hey, listen, you can be Kim Jong-Pate.
Oh, absolutely. I've waited for someone to say this to me for so long.
Until you do something we don't like.
Yes. Congrats on talking to Dolphins.
Yeah, all of you are exempt. You get to do whatever you want to. So you got the pardon, first off.
Thank you. Good.
I would, hey, if I can do whatever I want to, I'd love to shrink these conferences down to no more than 10 teams apiece. Yeah. I'd love for it to be that size because everyone can play everyone in conference play. It's totally insane to look at Florida's schedule and Missouri's schedule right now and know they play in the same conference. Also, I was talking to a GM the other day who is of one of those major programs, and they feel terrible when they go gut someone's roster, but like they got to do it. He said, you know what someone should push for? And I was listening, all ears. He said, why, when we take someone from like UTSA's roster, do we not have to send cash to Tulane? And I said, or UTSA or like whatever. And I said, that's an interesting proposal. Just wrote it down. So I would love to do that. Like, you're not going to be able to make teams go back to a conference they don't want to go back to. But what I could do to try and shave and flatten out the financials a little bit is punitive measures when you go raid someone's roster or their coaching roster.
All right, I like it. Last one here, Commissioner Pate. Should the college football playoff selection process be fully transparent, and would forcing the committee to publicly justify rankings help or hurt the sport?
It would help in the same way. Now, I know you guys would never delve into politics. I don't even know if you're aware of what's happening right now, but we're confirming a lot of new people for cabinet positions, and there's a lot coming to light right now, and everyone's up in arms about it. But I would argue more information is always a good thing. Now, you can choose whether to like or not like the information, but the process is always a good thing, and anyone who tells you otherwise has got a bag over their head. So I would love to make that a feature event. We get to voyeuristically watch the college football playoff rankings and selection process. Now, here's what it would do. It would make you lose all respect for the process because you'd find out those people aren't really making those numbers. No. They've got a preset mechanism, and they're just the face of it, but they just turn the crank, and that thing spits out its numbers. That's why it always very closely resembles what the BCS numbers would have been, because here's a very, very dangerous theory for you. They didn't really change it a whole lot.
They just put people there and said, hey, they're making these decisions when they're really...
Wait, so are you saying there should be a Doge college football edition?
I'm saying you're looking at him. Yes.
I love it. Well, look, if ever you're the commissioner, I'm going to apply for one of those cabinet positions. Maybe the Secretary of Defense. We can start changing some of these rules to start helping out the defense a little bit instead of it always be swaying toward the offense. Maybe something like that.
Whoa. Don't go changing stuff too much.
Look, no, you don't want to give me that power, but maybe Pate will. Josh, tell everybody where they can find it if they don't already know, and if they don't already know, they've got a bag over their head.
Well, yeah, just search Josh Pate's College Football Show. It should be everywhere you search for it. And if it doesn't, that's on me. That's on my staff. That's not on me. So you're off the hook at that point.
Perfect. Well, we already got the pardon, so we're good to go anyway. Josh, thanks.
Josh, hey! That's awesome, man.
Have fun down there at the Broyles Award, my friend.
Travel safely.
See you guys.
Josh Pate, one of the best in the business, just an all-around good guy. All right, let's get to the chat here quickly.
Phone lines are open, y'all.
Oh, phone lines are open, too. 1-855-236-3228. Please call us, scream at us, make good points or bad ones. We're going to tell you what we think either way.
Let's go to Austin Gardner. He says, where would you guys rank Lenore Sellers in the SEC QB pecking order, and how high is South Carolina's ceiling?
Listen, I'm gonna say something. I apologize. Shane Beamer sent us a South Carolina football that I have in my car that I forgot to bring in this morning, and I just realized it.
You, man.
I'm going to bring it now.
You know what? He made good on the spit spoobing.
It's in my car. No, it's in my car.
Hold on. He made good on the spit spoobing.
Hey, Justine, could somebody, my car, well, you know what? Maybe somebody could run my car out there. Don't say your car's unlocked. My car's definitely not unlocked. Oh my God. It's in the front seat in cardboard box. Somebody wants to go grab it. No, look, where I put Lenoris, I've got him in the upper echelon of it. Now, do I have him as the best overall? No, I actually think, and we're going to talk about this team in a minute with Oklahoma, that Johnny Mateer is up there when we're looking at it. But I put him up at the top. Nussmeier, probably going to be at the top for me going into this next season. But if Lenoris can continue to progress the way that he's progressed, his physical capability is as good as anybody's in the country. I think DJ Lagway's kind of in that same conversation. I would actually put Lenoris Sellers over Nico right now. If you ask me, I would take Lenoris over Nico. Yeah. And I think South Carolina, and I'll go ahead and tell you this, not just because Shane Beamer sent us the ball, I think South Carolina's going to make the college football playoff. So that gives away one of my win total overs that we're going to get into in a second.
All right,
let's go to a $5 donation from the lawyer. He says, all right, we already did Josh Pate, but I want to do you fellas. What would your first move be if you were the commissioner of college football?
David, what would
I would try and take a stab at the transfer portal first. The NIL thing and pay for play, that's going to keep going to the courts until there is some sort of collective bargaining agreement, and that's just going to be too tough to tackle on day one. But I think a reasonable solve to the transfer portal could be had to where you're trying not to convince players to become free agents every single year, but also they don't feel like they're being exploited when a coach leaves or something like that. I think we could find common ground there.
The first thing I would tackle is the officiating. We talked about transparency for the College Football Playoff Committee. Some people say, well, that's the first thing you need to go after is the postseason format, because I do want the structure changed. I don't think we should give the top 4 seeds to the conference champions. I think it should just, to get the bye, I think it should be the top 4 seeds. But I would appoint a czar of officiating where they would have press conferences weekly. Referees would have to at least publicly speak about certain calls and things like that. And if they were wrong, there needs to be penalties outside of just you don't get to call a bowl game this time. And then I would make the referees full-time. You're not going to be a State Farm insurance salesman and call the Alabama-Tennessee game in the same year. You're going to be full-time. There's going to be accountability. That's the first thing I would go after. But speaking about going after, there's a lot of teams going after the SEC this year. We broke down 8 what we thought for their projected win totals. We have the other 8 right here. David, where are we starting?
All right, we're going to start with LSU. I'm going to bring their schedule up. Blaine, can you take every other one?
Yep.
I'll take LSU, Missouri, Oklahoma, and so on. All right, we're going to start with LSU. Here's their schedule. They open at Clemson. Guys. That's August 30th. I love the games LSU opens with. I don't think their fans care about it so much, but they open at Clemson. Then Louisiana Tech at home. They get Florida at home, Southeastern Louisiana at home. They go to Ole Miss. They get a bye week before they host South Carolina. They get Vanderbilt on the road, Texas A&M at home. They get a bye week before they go to Alabama, Arkansas at home, Western Kentucky, and then they end at Oklahoma. 9 wins right now. 9 wins even, no hook. That's their over-under line.
I've got to push at 9. I think they go 9-3 again this year. I know LSU fans, that's a dastardly number, especially with what happened with Jaden Daniels and that group that went 9-3. I love Nussmeier. I think, again, is he perfect? No. But in this group of quarterbacks, when you look at all these teams, you know, even the ones we have up there, LSU, then Tennessee with Nico, Missouri, they got the Presbula kid that transferred from Penn State. Texas A&M, Marcel Reed's a good player. Mateer at Oklahoma, I think you could add into that list. Who knows with Jackson Arnold at Auburn, Kentucky, and then South Carolina, obviously, with Lenoris. I've got 9-3. I think they lose at Clemson and they slip up 2 more times, whether that's, on the road at Alabama, whether that's on the road at Ole Miss, or even a home game against the Texas A&M or somebody like that. I've got 9-3.
Well, that's not going to get you in the college football playoff because I don't think 9-3 is not going to win the conference. And at some point, Brian Kelly's going to have to win 10 games and make the.
Well, that's where I wonder if SMU getting in over Alabama this year, who was 9-3, if the committee will go back and look at that and say, you know what, we're going to put the SEC team. So it would be a backdoor in there if they did, but it's not very likely.
Yep.
God, that Florida game is going to be something, huh? Week 3 at home. We'll see. You already get Tennessee's?
Yep.
All right. You started off against Syracuse at home. That's not going to be a walk in the park. ETSU at home. Georgia at home, UAB at home, at Mississippi State, Arkansas at home, at Alabama, at Kentucky, Oklahoma at home, New Mexico State at home, at Florida, obviously in the year versus Vandy at home, and that number is sitting at 9.5.
Yeah, I'm going 10-2.
Yeah.
Look, I know Tennessee did lose some pieces on that defense, but I think, as Josh was talking about, they're a totally transformed team. That game against Syracuse, it's not going to be easy, but I think they win it. And when you look at the schedule, it's pretty manageable when you compare it to other ones, especially the ones that Tennessee have had in the past. I think Nico takes a big step. At least I hope he does because I think he's got a lot of talent. I got Tennessee 10-2 and making the college football.
I got the over as well. To me, it's all about Nico. There were times last year where he looked like he could potentially be the best quarterback in the country, especially against some of the weaker teams. And then when he played stiffer competition, he showed that he was a young quarterback. So what kind of stride does he take into this year? We got Missouri also at 9.5 on their win line, and here's their schedule. They start with Central Arkansas, and that's at home. They've got Kansas at home, Louisiana, Raging Cajuns at home, South Carolina at home, UMass at home. And then they have a bye week before they get Alabama at home. They go to Auburn. They go to Vanderbilt. Another bye week. They host Texas A&M. They host Mississippi State. They've got Oklahoma on the road and Arkansas on the road.
Got 7-5. I'm going under. I feel about as good about this one as any of them. Not that, no shot at Drink. Got a lot of respect for him. Coach Peeler, their wide receivers coach, is one of my favorite coaches in the SEC. But, I know they got the Bo Prisbilla kid, as I mentioned, coming over from Penn State. I've got to see him throw the ball. I don't know how well he throws it. You look at what they lost once again on defense. Right, a couple big pieces this year. I'm looking at that schedule. I got Missouri taking a step back after 2 really good years. What Brady Cook and that group did, you lose Luther Burden as well. So I'm going 7-5 this year for Missouri. They take a step back.
6 straight home games to open the season.
But good for Missouri, though, sitting at 9.5.
Yeah, that's a flex.
Let's go, baby. Drink doing his thing. All right, let's go to Texas A&M. You started off with UTSA at home. Then you have Utah State at home. Then you're at Notre Dame. Notre Dame came to Texas A&M last year. Then you play Auburn at home, Mississippi State at home, Florida at home. You're at Arkansas, at LSU, at Missouri. Then you have South Carolina at home. Then you play Samford. And you're on the road versus them Longhorns in Texas. And that number is at 8.5, fellas.
What do you like, David?
Give me the over this year. Give me the over this year.
I'm with you on the 8.5. 9-3?
Yeah.
You want to go 9-3?
What's the 3?
Now what'd you have last year? You had 10-2 last year?
I had
getting in the college football playoff?
Yes, I did. And I was wrong. Even though it was Mike Elko's first year, I thought they did some good things. And I don't prescribe to this year always going to go 8-4. Every year is different. Every team's different. But Blaine, you asked which 3 do I have?
Yep.
Run through their schedule very quickly again. I'll tell you when they're going to lose.
All right, UTSA.
Win.
Utah State.
Win.
At Notre Dame.
Loss.
Auburn at home.
Win.
Mississippi State at home.
Win.
Florida at home.
Win.
At Arkansas.
Win.
At LSU.
Loss.
At Mizzou.
Win.
South Carolina at home.
Win.
Samford at home.
Win.
At Texas.
Loss. 9-3. That's what I got.
I got 9-3 as well. Again, how many bubble teams can you have in the SEC who make the college football playoff?
That was kind of the problem.
Another question.
That Notre Dame matchup's just sweet, man. I love watching the game last year.
Now we'll see who Notre Dame is after Riley Leonard leaves.
Yeah.
I'm open that one. That could be the one that swings the gate and gets them in.
The second half of that home and home. All right, let's go to, who do I got? Oklahoma? All right, let's go to Oklahoma. Their line right now is at 8 on the dot, no hook. First one up, spring game. I think they'll win that one, but we're not going to count it. All right, Illinois State, that's at home. They host Michigan. And remember, head coach Sharon Moore went to Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Coming home for that game. It's going to be a lot of fun. At Temple, which is interesting. Auburn at home. They get a bye week before Kent State. They get Texas, obviously that's neutral site there in the Cotton Bowl. At South Carolina, Ole Miss at home. At Tennessee, bye week before they go to Alabama. Missouri at home. LSU at home.
God, this is the hardest one for me because I think Arbuckle, the new OC, is really good. I love Johnny Mateer. I thought he was the best quarterback in the portal.
Yep.
I'm going to go 8-4. I'm going to go 8-4. So right on the dot. Just like I had LSU at 9 even. There's a reason Oklahoma's at 8. I'm going to go 8-4, and that's with a loss against Texas neutral site.
What about Michigan? Michigan's kind of an interesting situation where they're going on the road to Oklahoma where they hosted Texas last year.
Yeah.
That's kind of one of those non-conference matchups that can make the difference when your line's at 8 wins.
I think that's a loss regardless of if Bryce Underwood starts at quarterback or not. Obviously, we've got to see the way it works at Michigan. They had a bunch of guys come into the transfer portal. I just think this is one that Brent and them are really going to need early because you're going to win the first one. There's some people that are doubting them. You got a young quarterback if it's Bryson starting. Give me Oklahoma in that crowd. And I think the defense is always going to be stout with Brent B.
All right, let's walk into hell together. Let's do Auburn's projected win totals. Right now, it is sitting at 7.5. Start off with the entering matchup at Baylor. Ball State at home. Shout out them Jags. South Alabama at home. You're on the road at Oklahoma. At Texas A&M. Georgia at home. Missouri at home. At Arkansas. Kentucky at home. At Vandy. Mercer at home. And you play them Alabama boys, but that is at home.
God, Auburn always hits the under when I pick them to go over. But I'm still believing, Coach Freeze. Eventually, it's got to hit, right? It's like blackjack. Eventually, something good is going to happen. 9-3. I think they lose their first 2 SEC games.
And you already have them winning the Iron Bowl.
Got them winning the Iron Bowl. That's what gets them to 9. I got Auburn 9-3. Yell at me. I don't care. Did it jinx them? I don't know.
How about you?
I'm worried about basketball.
I didn't have to look at the schedule to say under.
Hey, at least y'all got basketball now.
Yeah, I know, right? Can't wait to lose in the second round.
To Yale?
Yeah.
All right. I've got Kentucky
under.
Here. Kentucky under already?
Under.
6.5. 6.5 is the line right now. Here's the schedule. Toledo, Ole Miss at home, Eastern Michigan at home, bye week before they go to South Carolina and at Georgia back-to-back, another bye week. They host Texas, they host Tennessee, they get Auburn and Jordan-Hare on the road, they host Florida, Tennessee Tech at home, at Vanderbilt, and then at Louisville this year.
I got 4-8. I think this is it. I think this may be it for Coach Stoops.
For Coach Stoops?
I think if they go 4-8 this year, and again, shout out Mark Pope. You got two Marks there marking it up, but I just don't believe in Kentucky football. They lost their edge on the offensive line, and that was the thing that built them up. I just, with that schedule too, I'm worried about the Toledo game, honestly. Like, Toledo isn't coming down there to play patty cake, Baker's man. Like, they're coming down there to win, and Jason Candle, pun intended, light their ass
That'd
up.
be a fun time, though. Patty cake.
I guess.
They don't have a couple Ole Miss performances in them next year?
I don't know. I don't
like Coach Stoops, man.
I do too. It's just, but like, I got to try and be right, though. And you didn't send me a ball.
Or a helmet.
Or a helmet.
You
get no
maybe your fortunes will change if you.
Here comes the South Carolina one. The helmet came in, you said?
Yeah.
No, the ball. It's the ball. He sent us a ball.
I thought he was sending a helmet.
Look, he sent us a ball.
Right when I was about to say over?
Not.
Fine, over already.
South Carolina at 5.5. God, this fan base loves me, so let's go ahead and do this. Virginia Tech at home. South Carolina State at home. Vandy at home.
Yeah.
At Missouri.
Yeah.
Kentucky at home.
Yeah.
At LSU.
Uh-oh.
Oklahoma at home.
Okay.
Alabama at home. At Ole Miss. At Texas A&M. Coastal Carolina at home. You finish the year at Clemson at home.
Oklahoma's at home.
This may be, look, the Florida over 4.5 I thought was probably the best one. But this may be the biggest lock of locks. South Carolina over 5.5. In my mind, I haven't made up yet if they're going to get to 9 or possibly 10. And it could come down to that game at Clemson or at home against Clemson, because they went to Clemson last year. So that's at home. I got them at least at 9-3. Go through that first 5-game stretch again.
Virginia Tech, South Carolina State,
Dub,
Vandy,
Dub,
at Mizzou,
Dub,
Kentucky at home,
Dub. That's a 5-0 start.
you
You're feeling pretty healthy about that over 5.5.
Yeah.
Just grab me one more beer.
Especially if Lenore Sellers stays healthy.
That's exactly right. So I'm going over there. So that wraps it up. Part 2, if you want to see our Part 1 win totals, we're going to put them both together in an amalgamation and put them out for you here soon. But, Coney, let's amalgamate some phone lines.
Hot Take Hotline. You got 60 seconds to give us your hottest take. And when someone's off that line, let's get a new caller on it. It's 1-855-236-3228. We're going to start with Sam in South Carolina. Actually, Sam, what's your hot take?
Not a hot take, but I need some advice, boys.
Okay.
All right, what do you need?
So today, just booked Power Slap 12, March 7th. All right.
Okay.
Turns out that starts at 6. I don't know anything about it, how long it lasts. But it turns out the Las Vegas Knights play at 10 o'clock that night. Can I do both?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or would I be missing out?
No, so the way it, and again, we went to Power Slap multiple times last year, and I'm trying to be 100% accurate. Shout out to our boy Dana White. They have like cards. They have like undercards and then a main event. So it's like the UFC kind of, but there's not nearly as many fights, and they go a lot quicker, especially when you get to the bigger guys because they're just knocking each other out. The question I think you need answered is, how long will it take you to get from the Power Slap place to where the Vegas Knights play? That's the question you got to answer, because that's going to tell you whether you need to leave an hour before, whether you need to leave 30 minutes before, or whatever. So I think you can do both, but logistically, you got to step it up.
I think you'll be good, Sam.
Yeah.
Thanks for calling.
That Power Slap stuff's crazy.
Yeah, unless they've changed
insane.
it in some way and moved it back, which I don't think they have.
No, it's a fun
They're still
time.
slapping the shit out of
Maybe
it.
we should.
Yeah,
maybe we should be there for that one.
Maybe we should. Then go to the Knights game at 10. You think we can get there?
Maybe we should do that.
We should
go
go
to the
Sam.
Knights game after.
Yeah, hell, I'm down.
All right, let's go to Steve in New Jersey. Steve, what's your hot take, brother?
How you guys doing today?
What up, Stevie?
So here's my question. Now that the Jets have let go of Aaron Rodgers, who's starting? Who would you have starting quarterback in 2025 for the Jets?
So let's look up where did the Jets draft this year? What do you know what pick they have off their heads, off the top of your head, Steve?
I think 5th or 6th.
5th or 6th. So if it's me, if I'm, because the way it made it seem like with what they told Aaron Rodgers with you can't go on McAfee anymore, you got to be at OTAs and training camp and all this, they were putting him in a position where he would not come back, right? So they want to start fresh with the new guy. if I'm taking over a place, they're at 7. If I'm taking over a place, I want to start with a guy that I can mold. Now, the question then becomes, if that's the choice, do you want to bring in a veteran guy for 1 year, Cone, like you talked about with Aaron Rodgers going to the Titans? Do you bring in a Sam Darnold, but you're going to have to pay Sam Darnold? That's the thing. You're going to have to pay out the ass for Sam Darnold, and it's going to be less than 1 year. I would trade up and go get a young guy. To me, I would not be shocked at all if you see Cam Ward with Shadur Sanders with the Giants and the Jets with a young quarterback coming out, maybe even Jackson Dart.
See, I agree on the Sam Darnold front. I think you pick up Sam, whatever you need to pay him, and I think you go get an offensive tackle with that 7th pick, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's Will Campbell from LSU.
And I think I saw Sam's 28. Is that right?
Yeah, young.
Like, just threw for 4,300 yards. I don't think it's
You're younger than Patrick.
Year. All right, let's go to Jimbo in New York. Jimbo, what's your hot take?
That's insane.
Fellas, what is up to Blaine and Jake? I just want to tell y'all to enjoy this moment with Auburn at number 1 going to Bama at number 2 in basketball. You never know how good you had it once it's gone. You know.
Oh, believe me, yeah. I had it. We didn't have it for a long time, bro.
Yeah, I don't know why, but we're number 1 and I'm not enjoying it.
No, I'm not enjoying it. I wish we were number 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, growing up a fan, going to the Sweet 16 was a rite of passage for me. It's an embarrassment that we're going to miss the tournament 4 years in a row. So with that being said, I've gone back and forth about firing our second-year head coach, Adrian Autry, which I normally think is unfair. But, when you lose to a 1-11 ACC team in Miami with this conference being so down, we're number 8 all-time wins. Yeah. I think just a reset is unnecessary. What do you guys think?
Look, Jimbo, I agree with you, especially when Syracuse becoming a football school anyway, so I don't know if they're really going to care enough to fire him at all in the end. I think, especially with that loss to Miami that you just brought up, and the ACC is so bad this year, especially with the transfer portal, there's no excuse for Syracuse not to be good in basketball, to not be able to recruit and get the type players in there that can win and win big. Missing it 4 years in a row. I know he hadn't been there for 4 years. Y'all going to miss it again for the second year in a row. I think you fire him, and if you're smart, I make a run at Jay Wright. I make a run at Jay Wright.
Syracuse always used to have an exciting White.
They did. What was the exciting White's name they had in the tournament? Was it? God, I wish Jimbo was still on. That he was kind of bald.
Wasn't it?
What was his name? God, and he wasn't big either. But they always stayed.
Did they have Boeheim's son?
No. This is a while ago. He played point guard. God, I'll remember it at 1:00 this morning.
Just stay away from Dusty May. All right, you hear that? All right, let's go to Josh in Boise, Idaho. Josh, what's your hot take?
Hey, boys, what's going on?
Yep.
Hey, man, just wanted to celebrate Kellen Moore finally becoming a head coach in New Orleans. Boise, of course, is ecstatic, right? Yeah. I mean, our team made the playoff this year. Kellen Moore, he's deserves a statue in front of our stadium. The greatest Boise State player to ever have played, 50-3 as a quarterback. So we're really pumped. My hot take, boys, is I think he takes the Saints to the playoffs in the very first year. And I know everyone says that salary cap is crazy. I know they say that the Saints are a mess right now, but they are in the NFC South.
Yep.
And the reality is that Kellen Moore, I think people don't give him enough credit. They think his personality isn't maybe a leadership-type personality. His knowledge of the game and his work ethic is going to propel the Saints into the playoffs the very first year.
Yeah, Josh, look, I'm happy for Kellen. I mean, it's been a long time coming, and you're right. He does need a statue in Boise. I mean, the dude, to me, put y'all on the map, if we're going to be honest. Here's where I'm at. One, can Derek Carr stay healthy? Because if Derek Carr can stay healthy, and you look at some of the pieces the Saints have around him, you can put up a fight in that division, but I don't know if the fight you can put up is enough. I mean, you look at what the Bucs, are doing over there. The Saints, it feels like that roster, you're getting older on defense. You're going to have to hit this draft right, and you're really going to have to pinpoint free agency to be able to put yourself in a position. Plus, Derek Carr is going to have to stay healthy. So I hope so. I hope the Saints do well, especially with the proximity to us. But I'm not seeing it year one, but hell, he put Boise State in the map. Why can't he put New Orleans back on it?
Thanks for calling in, man. Let's go to Patrick. What'd you say?
You make a statue of Kellen Moore. The good thing about it is you can't mess it up.
That's
a shovel face.
It's uncalled for and unnecessary, okay? Maybe. All right, let's go to Patrick in Kansas City. Mahomes?
Pat, is
Mahomes?
Your dad going to fight John Rocker or what?
Your dad all right?
Thanks for taking my call. It's great to be here. I just wanted to say, not only will I never be as good as Tom Brady, I will never be as good as David Cohn. I also just wanted to apologize to the world, and especially Will from New Jersey, for ruining his life. Also, my wife sucks, my brother sucks, and I'm going to go out for a few drinks with my dad. See you guys later.
Hey, great job, Patrick. Patrick Mahomes, guys.
I needed that.
Patrick Mahomes.
Thank you, Patrick.
I don't know. This man spitting facts.
Yeah, big facts.
The man is spitting big facts.
All right, let's go to Tyler in Oregon. Tyler, what's your hot take?
Hey, guys, Eli Manning should have been a first-ballot Hall of Famer. What are we doing? He won 2 Super Bowls against Tom Brady. We revere Super Bowls for a reason. It's how we compare Tom to everybody else. Marino and Jim Kelly never won one, and they're in. QBs get 90% of the credit, roughly, of wins and losses for the Super Bowl. I mean, look at what we're talking about out of this recent one. He is one of 13 to win multiple Super Bowls out of the 67 starters. And I don't want to hear, he wasn't an MVP. He played in the era of Brady, Peyton, Breeze, Big Ben, etc. And Brady should have won more MVPs. So who's to say Eli wasn't MVP caliber? And let's be honest, all the Hall of Fame voters are just guys named Richard, and we're looking at guys like Ichiro in the MLB not being unanimous, Terrell Suggs, Luke Kuechly, Torrey Holt, Reggie Wayne getting snubbed. Voters, your ignorance is showing. Eli can pass. He won the kick of destiny, and he should punt on the voters and go into the Hall of Fame.
Hey, Tyler. That's how you come in and give a diatribe.
Permission to disagree.
Really? You disagree that Eli shouldn't be in the Hall?
I'm fine with keeping Eli Manning out of the Hall of Fame for one reason and one reason only. The very fact that he wouldn't go to the place where he was going to get drafted coming out of college. Too good to go to San Diego. I want to go to New York. Yeah, he won 2 Super Bowls.
God.
How many other dudes would win Super Bowls if they just got to pick the place where they want to go to? Nah, you know what? I think I just want to go play for Andy Reid in Kansas City, and I'm not going to go anywhere else.
Tyler brings up a great point, and I've said this, and we're in the sports media. The people who vote on who should get in the Hall of Fame should be the Hall of Famers that are still alive. The people that vote on the Heisman Trophy, who wins it, should be the Heisman Trophy winners that are still alive. We have so many people in the media that are just absolutely terrible at this. Just take it out of their hands. The other awards, the ancillary awards, okay, I'll even give you the MVP. You can have that, whatever, the way you vote for it, because I think you actually got it right this year. But at the end of the day, we need to change the structure of who gets
I just wonder if you'd run into a problem where a lot of Hall of Famers don't want other guys to get into the Hall of Fame. And it's like all other Hall of Famers didn't vote you in.
But you already have that problem with the media, guys. I mean, like, there's some guys that just hold personal
Eli was
grudges.
never consistently elite, but his peak moments were legendary.
Like, he's going to get in.
Legendary.
He's going to get in, but first ballot Hall of Famer, like that's the line.
Maybe that's where we can meet in the middle.
No, you should have just gone where you got drafted to, man. I didn't like it when John Elway did it. Didn't like it when Eli Manning did it. You can stay out of the Hall of Fame.
But both were exciting ones.
Sorry.
They were.
Yeah.
They were.
Both
Definitely.
really good.
Definitely.
All right, boys. That's it for call-ins today.
Appreciate it, y'all.
Get to beds. Thank y'all for calling in.
Good job, everyone. That is acceptable. You can go along with the rest of what you had planned for today now. But right now, we're going to get to beds. All right. Tonight, we're going to stay on the hardwood.
It'll be the night that I am for you.
Did you?
You were gone.
God, they could build a statue of you.
God, Lee. Hey, do y'all still got that cyanide back there? Anyway, Nebraska, Maryland. The Cornhuskers at home need it. Some would say, Blaine, they have to have it. I'm going to take a money line at -125. Then Gonzaga at home against San Francisco. Yes, that is an actual university and not just the 49ers. I'm going to take the Zags -13.5, going off at -112. Nobody's talking about Gonzaga this year in basketball, boys. Nobody's talking about them. It's like they're turning into Butler.
You just talked about him.
I did, though.
Wonder what Jared's doing.
Probably making jewelry.
He's listening to you right now. He's watching you.
His wife's yelling him about Jake.
I just picked the Zags to cover.
Stand, middle school concession stand, sour straw.
Well, they do. You got volleyball lines on the court. I can't take your conference serious. Go ahead, David. What are your bets?
All right, boys. I'm going hockey.
You're not.
You know I'm going hockey.
You're not going to watch it.
Huh? Four Nations. USA minus a goal and a half. That's at -145. And then USA, Finland, over 5.5 goals, -125. I am going to watch it.
Have we played Canada yet? Because I just want us to beat them so I can talk ish to
I
Kurt.
think that's this weekend.
All right, let's get my bets. I'm going Memphis -7.5. It's going off at -110. They're on the road at South Florida. And give me FIU +8.5 on the road versus UTSA.
All right, Ace, what do you got? It's going to App State. -8.5. I think they're playing Coastal Carolina on the road. That's going off at -110. Then William and Mary. Nobody shows more love to William and Mary than our show.
Yeah.
He's going to take William and Mary -2.5. Who are they playing? I think it's the Roanoke School of the Deaf and Confused. I think that's who it is. Hopefully they should win by at least 3. All right, let's get to the chat.
All right, let's get to these donations. If you donated today, thank you. We enjoy your money. Let's go do a $5 donation from JD. Appreciate it. Tricky Nicky leaving broke Alabama. They're falling into the abyss, and I love it. War damn Eagle, you Bama bums.
It's just starting to feel like those videos you see on TikTok where the wife divorced her husband and now she regrets it like 6 months later. It's just what it's kind of starting to feel like.
$5 donation from HB. Appreciate it. If y'all have time before the Arkansas-Auburn game next week, y'all should have Curtis Wilkerson on. He knows ball as well as anyone. He works with John Neighbors.
All right, Curtis, thanks for being in the chat.
Let's go to a $5 donation from the Peace Corps. Appreciate it. Ha, 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 ha. Carl Ravish, what an idiot. Ha, 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 ha.
Look, I like Carl Ravage. Should he maybe stick to baseball? He's an incredible baseball. And that's his bag, baby.
So
I hope all the people who are talking trash about me, talking trash about the strength of schedule metrics that were used on ESPN for the SEC, I hope they're all on Carl Ravage right now.
Believe me, everybody's on Carl Ravage. It's basically an OnlyFans account right now.
Because mine was correct.
$5 donation from the Badge. Appreciate it. Does Wisconsin have a chance versus Alabama in football next year?
I mean, I think this is the best time to catch them, right? I mean, this is probably the best. We'll see who plays quarterback. It's just, there's so many unknowns at so many places right now at quarterback, right? You look at Alabama, you look at Notre Dame. I can go through the list. I think it's probably your best chance.
$5 donation from the Bentley. Appreciate it. Speaking of Hall of Fame, the one that grinds my gears is that Andrew Jones is not in the Hall of Fame.
Don't get me pissed
Probably
off
the best defensive outfield.
Put him in.
Fielder during.
And also dropped absolute nuclear bombs.
Yeah.
So a $5 donation from Nick. Appreciate it. Something about Josh Pate's head that just freaks me out. I like his takes. But his face, man, it just gets me.
It's a Step Brothers moment? Can I change that for you? I think Josh is a very handsome young man.
Last donation of the day, a $5 donation from Tim. He says, I would vote all 3 of you, 2 of you for college football commissioner. Blaine, do not get anywhere near this. Screw you, dude. First thing I would do is take targeting out of football. It's not
wow, Blaine would actually win a lot of votes over.
You can launch. You can put your head down.
So basically, you would launch a mass deportation of targeting.
Yeah.
I don't hate that.
That, roughing the passer, gone.
You would take roughing the passer?
If you touch a receiver when he's in his route, flag. If you look at him wrong, flag.
Yeah, that sounds about right. All right, we appreciate you guys. Shout out to our buddy Josh Pate. Make sure you check out that Brothers Word live stream. And don't miss Locker Room Talk tomorrow, the new show that we're doing Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I've got a lot of great feedback from it. Check it out tomorrow. And the chances of me not knowing what my wife got me for Valentine's Day because I guessed it earlier on the phone with her. We're going.
Oh,
nice. Gone. Yeah,
buddy.
This ain't kittens mittens, dog.